Welcome to Bold Talk series where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Brian Esposito, founder of Esposito Intellectual Enterprises and CEO of Diamond Lake Minerals. Brian, great seeing you and welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you?
I'm doing well, Epi. Thank you so much for having me today.
Awesome, great. Well, good having you here and truly looking forward to this conversation. Brian, can you take us back to the beginning? What sparked your journey as a founder and how did it evolve into what you're doing today?
Yeah, it goes back as a child. So I always was out looking for ways to earn and create value and bring value to people. So as a late teenager in the late 90s, I built the first B2B, B2C e-commerce platform for the beauty industry. And that put me in the main stage of working with celebrities, entertainers, musicians, actors, and actresses on helping build their beauty and personal care brands. I fell in love with technology as I built out that site and made some great partnerships with Amazon and Google. And it allowed me to utilize the beauty industry in that platform to really go out and expand. Right now, Esposito Intellectual Enterprises, my private holdings that's been around since the early 2000s, consists of over 115 different entities. We operate in over 25 different industries. And it's just this evolution of a machine that continues to go out there, find great opportunities, find great entrepreneurs and founders, work with them, create value, create sustainable, momentum driven companies that aren't based off of BS unicorn valuations, but based off of real earnings and the multiplier of those earnings. And over the last 10 years, 10 plus years, I became very focused on tokenization, building crypto and tokens into our business models, as well as the public company that I took over, DLMI. And it's just a continuation of my career and my journey is adapt or die. You got to always keep evolving and always keep finding new opportunities to either reinvent yourself or stay relevant.
Yeah, staying relevant, right? It's the most important thing these days. Things are moving very fast. uh, Making sure that the business is on track in terms of the securing the right business, the right contracts. Uh, Tell me a little bit about your the business that you're running right now. What's the lesson you learned the hard way that's now centered to how you lead?
Yeah, there's a lot of those lessons, and I value and grateful for all of them because every heartache or hurdle or disappointment really seasoned me to be able to handle anything and understand there really is always a solution. But the most important aspect of a founder or a leader or anybody that takes a lot of risk or puts your ass on the line or your credit cards are all maxed out or you're taking a second loan on your house to go after your dreams and build your company is to really protect your inner circle and really be very careful as to who you allow in that inner circle and ensure that they're warranted people that really have your best interests at heart. You can compare it to war. Like, who do you want to be in the trenches with, fighting with you? And it's unfortunate, but it's very common that some of your maybe best friends, maybe some family members, maybe colleagues and coworkers that you feel are genuinely good people, they don't want to see you succeed, and they actually are a stumbling block for you. So you got to really make sure that you surround yourself with the right people, people that believe in you. You got to have nothing but supportive positivity around you as an entrepreneur or as a leader because life is hard enough just to try to survive and get through the day. The last thing you need is any toxicity or dramatic people inside of your daily routine or in your inner circle.
Yeah, um, there's got to be a policy where there's like zero negativity, right? Uh, so you got to be uh, completely allergic to the
I,
negativity. And I'm saying,
I use that term all the time. I'm allergic to it. I love that you just said that.
yeah, and so you got to sniff it as far as you can to make sure that there's only a positivity allowed uh, around you because we are the humans that we give energy to each other, right? And so as
Yeah,
much as you give energy, you also take the energy for someone else, and that could be a bad energy too. And
absolutely. I mean, people have a bad day. That's okay if someone has a bad day, but like you mentioned, we only have so much energy in the tank. Think of it like a traditional vehicle that takes gasoline. You want to use that gas on the right people, on the right opportunities, and energy suckers are out there. Energy vampires are out there, and you can't be successful if they're depleting you.
Yeah. Now, with the Diamond Lake Minerals, you're blending traditional acid with blockchain tech, right?
Correct. Yeah. So what we created there, I took over this company as CEO in August of 2023. We've got an incredible team and board. And we became the first public company that I believe very properly and strategically built in tokenizations or things like crypto into the business model. So I'll make it as simple as possible because it gets a little confusing with all these different tokenizations, NFT, crypto, security tokens. There's a lot of different buzzwords out there. But
Hmm.
I describe DLMI as an old school General Electric conglomerate type of company. You got the parent umbrella company, which is DLMI and Diamond Lake Minerals. Underneath it, we have identified all these industry agnostic companies or assets or opportunities that we want to have under the umbrella. So you build and grow those companies as you would traditionally do any other company, whether you're taking equity, debt, using leveraging your assets or cash flows. But we also included tokenization into those businesses and that business model. So what that does is it allows people around the world to buy into your company that never had a chance to buy into a company before or a public company. So with these new mechanisms, the old school model was if you needed to raise money or if you needed to raise 10 million bucks, you go to a bunch of people and try to raise $10 million the old fashioned way. Maybe there's a minimum ticket size of 100,000 for each investment. So you're really limited in your invitation pool of people that are accredited and that they have the liquidity or they have the assets to invest into you. But with things like tokenization, you go to a much larger population. So instead of going to dozens or hundreds of people to raise money, you go to millions or billions of people to raise money. So the ticket size could be a quarter, it could be $1, it could be $5. So you can really gain a lot of new access to capital with people on a larger global scale that always wanted to invest into great opportunities but didn't have the opportunities to do so.
Yeah. But what's the downside of it, for example?
Well, the downside of it, there's a lot of companies, or not even companies, a lot of projects out there that are called crypto or token projects that aren't really backed by anything. There's no management team. There are these like pump and dump rug pulls, they call them. So the downside is there's a lot of bad actors in this space that you need to just do some due diligence and research and make sure that if you're going to get involved in a crypto or token project, that you don't just get sucked into the hype machine because a lot of it is just marketing and hype and a pyramid type of scheme. Look at, is this a real company? Are there real leadership that are transparently involved? Do they have are they doing their proper filings and disclosures like we are? So the downside is there's more bad opportunities than good, so you got to take a minute and do some research. But as far as limited your exposure and risk when you invest into an opportunity or you put money into an opportunity that's a token project, you don't have to put in a lot of money. Yeah, you can really limit your downsides. You can start to get familiar with this new medium for financial wealth enhancement or wealth preservation. And you can have a lot of fun by actually being part of a community. It's not just buying a stock like you used to. When you invest or you participate in a token project, there's giant Twitter or X communities built around it. There's all these different other mediums like Discord. So you have a more of a stronger connection to the token holders than you would as just a traditional equity.
Yeah. So you're saying the market is not educated, and if they think that they know something, they just go by the hype, and the hype is what truly is a big threat to guys like you who are trying to do the right thing and give people or democratize in a way the investment opportunities that never been able to have hands on, right?
Correct. Yeah, but it also gives us a nice spotlight where we stand out. We've been called the Berkshire Hathaway of tokenization, which is a very humbling and amazing compliment to be called. So, like anything in life, you do it the right way. It's the harder way, it's the longer way, it's the more expensive way, but it's the absolute way. So all these other companies and projects that are just taking advantage of people and robbing and stealing from people, that's going to catch up to them. But it does make it a lot harder for companies like us to maneuver because it's a big mess out there. But we're proud of how far we've come, and I do believe we created the future model for all public companies with the structure that we've put together.
Nice. So how do people buy a token, for example, when you're in
So the announcements and pipeline that we have, we made a strategic co-investment into a regulated digital asset or token exchange known as Upstream. So
Okay.
our underlying subsidiary companies, projects, or opportunities, they would be listed on Upstream for participation into those buying into the tokenization aspect. The other reason why I took over DLMI and created this structure as a public company, the wealth of the world, at least in the United States, don't understand crypto tokens. There's a lot of friction points. They're very insecure about the processes, and they just don't get it. So when they don't get it, they don't get involved. But they know how to buy a stock. So we aim to be the stock in their portfolio that we believe are properly in crypto and tokenization. And then at some point, you're going to log onto your Charles Schwab account. You're going to log onto your Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, or Goldman Sachs account, and you'll be able to easily buy a token into a project or a company, just like you buy an equity or a bond today. So that's when it hits the masses. But in the meantime, you look for companies like us that are public, that are in this space, or you utilize regulated, licensed digital exchanges where you know the projects that are on those exchanges they're fully vetted, all the filings are done correctly, all the disclosures are done correctly, and be part of the next evolution of financial mechanisms and transactions that are digital.
Nice. Brian, you mentioned earlier like the import, like having a great team. Many founders talk about the importance of a team, of a great team. What does a strong, aligned team looks like to you?
Yeah, it's case by case. Now, there's different levels of teams, right? There's at the ultimate C-suite level where everybody has to be so unified and understand what is the mission, and it can go sideways here or there. But it's how do you work together, even in problems or any types of issues. That's when the team really needs to shine. Anybody can have fun and do great things when the company's rocking and making money and it's just profits, but it's really about when things go sideways. How does this team work well together? Making sure people don't abandon you just because times are tough. I've been through that roadshow where you think you got nothing but supporters and great people around you that are there for you in good times and in bad, and it's during those bad times when you really realize odds are the people you're surrounded by now are not going to be there, and that's no fault to them. They have responsibilities, they have bills, they have mortgages, they need to go out and find earnings to maintain their lifestyle. So, a great team obviously can do great things when things are good, but I always look at who is with me that I know is going to be with me when we have a problem and we have to overcome a problem. So I look for scrappy, hardworking people. I don't look for banking hours. Like, as an entrepreneur, we work 24/7. So you want people with you that understand you don't have the traditional punch in, punch out, Fred Flintstone clock. You don't have your traditional 2 weeks vacation and all those other things that most corporations give to their employees. You gotta have fully entrepreneurial spirited team members, and that also trickles down to your accounting, your legal and compliance, and any other professional services that you use. You need to also find entrepreneurial spirited professional sides and third party people to really make sure that they're with you in lockstep, because the last thing you want to be do is waiting on a lawyer's response when you have something moving, and that momentum needs to always stay fluid, and you don't want anybody to hold you up, because that's when deals die, and that's when the opportunities that were created because of your hard work just disappear.
100%, man. That's I hear you.
Thank
Brian,
you.
how do you personally stay grounded and focused when your time is pulled in so many directions? And as an entrepreneur, we got a bunch of stuff going on. The opportunities come left and right. New innovation. We're constantly innovating. I mean, being focused is so key. How do you personally stay focused?
Yeah, it's when you're it's in my blood to always create, and I look at the world very differently. I find the need, fill a need, so that's just in me. So staying focused is easy when you got great teams. Like, we have incredibly professional upper level management, all the way down to all the different industries and companies that we're involved with. And it took me 24 years now to do this. So it looks like it was this overnight success model, but I have had to go through everything you could possibly think of as a human being and an entrepreneur. I think the formula is for every 1,000 people I meet, one's a decent person. So you bring them in and you just nurture them and you cherish them. So when you have little to no drama, you have really no problems that you're putting fires out, and you don't have these energy sucking, leeches or these toxic people around you. It's very easy to stay focused. It's very easy to stay motivated. But it took me a long time to get there. So anybody listening, it's not easy, but I tell you what, it's your life. You have control over your life, and you may need to fire people from your life, whether it's your personal life or your professional life. And the minute you start to surround yourself again with amazing talent and amazing supportive people, your focus is strong, your um, your execution is strong, and it's just this energy that you can't explain. It's just there, and it just
Yeah.
gets enhanced. Um, but you got to be aligned. Like a leader needs to make decisions. It sounds cold. You got one run in this life, and if you're out there and you're risking everything to make something of yourself, don't let somebody that you could have put in the corner and told them to go away jeopardize you from making something of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's leadership is hard. Entrepreneurship is hard. For some people, it's easier. Just life in general gets easier, but in a way, it's still hard, right? And so, how do you how do you make sure that you know you're the time, for example, the hard you mentioned about the hard times, right? How do you make sure that you found that the right person that you want to invest in this guy, make sure that he's the leader next to you? How do you make sure that
Sure.
he's the right person?
I have very simple checklists for me. I look for integrity. I look for ethics. I look for good morals and values. As simple as that. If somebody's flashing me their nice watch, I'm out. If they're bragging about their fancy vacations or their nice car, or they're showing off a bullshit logo on their belt or their shoes and trying to peacock to me, I'm out. Because in my mind, you're driven by the wrong motivators, which is money. Money and things are your god. And what that tells me is that you'll do anything to keep that and to maintain that lifestyle. So because I know that that's what you're going to do, you're going to put me in harm's way, and you don't really care about me. You don't care about what we can do. You care about the financial aspect of it. Now, I'm a big believer that people should have everything they want in this life. They should be blessed with all the riches that they can desire. But I am not a believer in the obnoxious behavior that comes with certain characteristics of people like that. And I just don't subscribe to that level of immaturity. To me, it's just immaturity, and it's people with very low self esteem. So I look for, how do you treat a waiter? How do you treat somebody in the service industry? If we're in a hotel lobby, are you being caring to somebody that's just walking around vacuuming? Do you treat another human being like a human being, even if you can't get anything from them? So these are the things I look for in somebody, and I can pick up. I think I've met every devil in disguise you can think of, so I can pick up traits very quickly in this chapter of my life, which I'm grateful for. And sometimes, and I love that you said allergic to it, I feel this nausea around certain people almost immediately if their soul or their energy is so corrupt and toxic and lost. Like I just get up and leave certain rooms, and that could be rude, but you know what? I've been through enough. I don't need to spend time somewhere where I know it's not good for me.
Yeah,
And I
driven.
should also put a little asterisk there. I don't judge people. To each their own. I just know what doesn't work for me. And that
Yeah.
type of characteristic or that type of person does not work for me. And I don't care if we can make $1 billion together. Get the hell away from me is my MO.
Yeah, it's like driven by a spirit, but at the same time also a way that against also the values that you already have. Obviously, you can't compromise on values. As a leader, like I really love John Maxwell's book, the one law, irrefutable laws of leadership. We violate sometimes those, but you cannot violate the values, right? So the
That's right.
values are non-negotiable, right? And I truly believe in that. Now, Brian, what does the word bold mean to you?
It's a great question. I think it could change at every level of your life, but right now, bold would mean to me someone that is going after something they believe, regardless of anybody giving them any type of um, criticism or opinions that they shouldn't do that. So a bold move or a bold person would go after where their heart and where their soul is pulling them, unreliant of anybody telling them different. So to me, that's a very bold and inspiring person to do that. Um, and that's, you know, how many people that you know that I know have great ideas and they could change the world, but they just don't have that extra miles per hour to do it. So
Yeah,
it's a bold move. The ones that do it, it's a bold one. Even if you went and you just incorporated the name, like that's a bold move. You took an initiative, you took some action, and you put it in motion. So to me, a bold person or a bold statement is someone that's actually going after life, trying to leave their mark on this life, and putting whatever resources and time and energy they can to make something happen.
yeah. Very well said, Brian. Looking forward to other conversation. Obviously, we'll do the next one. We'll do a longer format. This is a short format. Always be bold. Keep up with great work. Thank you for joining me in this great bold talk series, and look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Be great and be bold, my friend.
You too, Epi. Thank you, pal.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.